to another riveting episode of High Voltage. I'm your host. I am internationally best-selling author MacKenzie Nelson, and I'm here, to get you excited about your life, to get you thinking about some concepts, get you outside of your comfort zone, because we all have one and they all look a little different depending on how you have navigated through your journey. Some people try with everything inside of them to just stick to what they know, and there is no way that they are veering off the path of what they were brought up with, of the traditions, the concepts. They will never do what it takes to look internally and decipher, just because my parents lived this way, and this is how they walked out their journey, and this is what they taught me to do. Maybe that specific blueprint isn't serving me well. Times change, thoughts change, new concepts are coming at us all the time. So I really believe, just as the Bible is written with a trajectory in mind, the Bible is just a compilation of experiences, of narratives, of people who, like us, lived and believed in God, but this is how they saw the world and how they viewed God in their time, which is why I think we see the Old Testament, we see a version of God as like the Punisher. And then we get to the New Testament with the revelation of Jesus, and we see, that God says, if you've seen, my son, you've seen me. And so Jesus is really, that concept that we are to take from the Bible. The whole Bible is pointing to Jesus, right? And so the whole revelation is, thank God that Jesus is loving and merciful and kind. And that is really what I have gotten out of my time in reading the Bible, was understanding that each of the authors had a different perspective to bring to the table. And I feel like the Bible encourages us, we're still a part of the Bible. We are still evolving in our faith, so to speak. And so now, you're alive. It's your chance. You get to contribute to the narrative of the Bible. You get to speak out about what your faith journey has been and how certain aspects have impacted you. And I feel called to bring my perspective to the table. So this week, I want to share with you about a subject that I've thought a lot about, and it is how well, can you know someone? How well can you really get to know people in this life? So the thing that got me thinking about this was, I really have been so curious about human nature, and I've always thought in depth about thought processes and how, we see the world and what influences that. And so I have seen my share of serial killer documentaries, meaning just kind of hearing the thoughts behind these people. And more so, what caught my attention is the surprise, of these people who find out the guy sitting next to him at church is actually a serial killer. I mean, oh my gosh, too close for comfort, but how did that happen? How did you not notice that the guy next to you in the pew at church was murdering people in his free time? How did these people get someone else so wrong? How did they get their character completely out of line? Time after time, the people who are interviewed that were in the serial killer's radius, meaning acquaintance-wise, neighbors, friends, they're just like, no, not Jimmy Schmoo. He would never do something like that. Not Joe. No, Joe's a great guy. He's always at church. He was the first one, to help me out when I needed help around the house. How can this be? He's a pillar of the community. And so really what it did, it started provoking in me these thoughts, and coming from the background that I did, raised by a mother who was gorgeous, My mother is a former model. She's stunning. She's outgoing and smart and beautiful and so communicative and lights up every room she walks into, She would not be who you would point to as someone who is abusing mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically her daughter. You would never know it, never, because anyone outside of my home that interacted with her, she was on her best behavior for the most part. And because she was so beautiful, it led me to start thinking about other concepts, about how society as a whole views beauty, and how, in a way, it's almost like when someone is attractive, they can get away with more. And my height being 6'2", everywhere I went, I was this tall in high school. I was 5'10" in 8th grade. And so any public arena I was in was just all eyes on me, up and down, and oh my gosh, how tall are you? And I mean, I still get it everywhere I go. I embrace my height and I love my height. But what I learned in getting that depiction as a child, as an adult, what I get over and over again is we have an unhealthy, viewpoint in our society about beauty, about physical appearance in general. We focus way too much on what someone brings to the table outwardly, and we really miss what's inside and what's going on in here, because it's easy, to excuse the unhealthiness when someone is more attractive versus, quote, a normal appearing person. They can't get away with as much societally because they don't look as good. And I've noticed this theme over and over, and a lot of the serial killers were really attractive people. And so I try to share with women and men and everyone I come across that there is more to you than what is on the outside. This is just a casing, right, that we journey with in life. This is our outer shell. Now, our outer shell is going to age. We're going to become older. Why is that we start looking older? It's, I believe, designed to get us to focus more on what is going on the inside. What are our thoughts like? What is our relationships look like? How are we connecting with other humans? How are we navigating our circumstances? How are we growing, and how are we plugging in, right? To look internally, be more introspective about our decisions, about the way we're loving people. Are you saying that you love people and not showing that love? Because they're two separate things, right? When you say you love someone, that's a commitment that you intend to follow through with actions, actionable items, so that person feels that connectedness to you and the love. Without the action item of love, they're just words. What do words mean without the actions behind them, right? Like, hey, I've been hanging out, going to church with a serial killer, living next door, and didn't even know. How did they get it so wrong? Because we are people, right? We're easily deceived, because I think for the majority of us, we're kind-hearted, hard-working people who want to see the best in everyone, because that is our mindset. You've got to erase that when you are dealing with people, whether they are good looking, look like they have their acts together, high-paying jobs, big houses, nice cars. All of these things are just distractions, right? So you can't align and live your life by these stereotypical standards. Like, whether you realize it or not, you probably have an active checklist going about people you want to be friends with in relationships. Maybe that's go to the same church, check, live in the same community, check, do charity work, check. Like, all these boxes you're looking for to be checked. But what if you're missing the most important thing about what if you get all the boxes checked, but the person that you're friends with is still going out murdering people for all you know? Do you know every single one of this person's thoughts? No. Just because you're married to your spouse, and I've been with mine for about 20 years now, does that mean that I know him in depth, that I know his thoughts, that I know what he's thinking and what he's going to do next? No, it doesn't. I can only know my husband as much as he's going to allow me to get to know him, as much as he's willing to communicate with me, as much as he's willing to share what's on his heart, and as much as he is honest, right, about where he's at. So here's the thing. I ask God about people in my life, because God is the one who knows everyone's hearts. He knows our thoughts. He knows where we're really living. Even though we as people might have an experience here or an experience there, they're peppered, right? We have peppered experiences with people, a little here, a little there. We don't have 24/7 access to them. Even if it's your husband, you can call him while he goes to work. Most of us have jobs. Maybe you are with him. Maybe you work with him all day and you do have that access. You still can't read his mind. So we can't go around assuming just because people check off the specific criteria that we want to align with, that they are, quote, good people that we should be trusting and in relationships with. Have you asked God about that friend or about that person that's in your life that maybe you kind of feel an extra, what is that? But no, Ruth is a really kind friend. Why am I thinking this way about her? That's not nothing. You need to pray into that. If you're in a relationship with someone where everything from the exterior is aligning, but you feel the extra, there's something not sitting right with me about this relationship, you need to pray into that because God can save you time. And that's the thing that we all need more of. That is the currency of life, is time. So we need to save as much time as we can while maximizing our relationships. And that will give us the best return on our investment of our time, right? And that is the stuff worth living for. Pray to God, ask Him about your relationships and your friendships, and pay attention, right? Jesus says in the Bible, you will know them by their fruit. And He talks about how when people speak something, you watch their actions. So you cannot pay attention to words. You cannot value people based on words alone. You've got to watch for fruit, which is the actionable manifestation of their words partnered with actions, and then you get fruit. You have good fruit or you have rotten fruit. Good fruit is always going to be like love, joy, peace, kindness, gentleness, self-control. These people will extend mad amounts of grace in your life, and they're so much fun to be around because they're no trouble, right? They're no hassle. They're always, looking to lift someone up, looking to lift a spirit. Sure, everyone has struggles, but ultimately they are patient and kind, and overall, you feel blessed to have them in your life. Rotten fruit is like dishonesty, right? Like it's like, I'm gonna do this and I'll be here and I'll pick you up and I'll help you move, right? But moving day comes and where is that friend? She's not there. And this isn't the first time this has happened with Sally. This is about, probably the 30th time that Sally has said something to me and I've believed her, and then I'm left hung out to dry. But you keep reinvesting with Sally, so you're just setting yourself up for more heartache. Sally is bearing bad fruit in that relationship with you because that is the manifestation of our partnership with one another. It's going to bear some kind of fruit. You either have rotten fruit in relationships or you have good fruit. And you can't have good fruit if people are continually telling you one thing and doing another. But if you were raised like me by a manipulative mother who trained you in a cult-like behavior to only listen, right, to her words and just dismiss actions consistently, you could be partnered in many abusive relationships like I was, until God got a hold of my heart and really started speaking wisdom to me so I could understand these dynamics. And so basically I could be the strongest person I can be, right? In this day and time, I'm always going to be getting stronger because I'm always learning and I'm always applying the knowledge, becoming. I am always in the process of becoming, and it is an exciting pursuit, and I'm never in my comfort zone. And I'm telling you, it's beautiful out there, friends. Get out of your comfort zone. Get away from the people, pray for them who are showing you bad fruit. Start listening to their actions and stop listening to their words. Just watch what they do. Watch how you feel when they do what they do. You should feel uplifted, encouraged, loved. If you don't feel those things in a relationship and they're always telling you, oh no, but I love you, I care about you, Actions speak louder than words. Start charting it down. Keep a diary if you're picking up on some of these extrasensory items, like I call them in my life, these nudges. Write them down. And that way, when that person comes at you, gaslighting you with, I never said that, or you got that all wrong. My mom had a million different ways to deflect, and I was always confused. So I kept staying in the relationship. And a lot of times just thinking, oh, why can't I get it together? She loves me. Like, what am I thinking? But the truth was, no, she didn't love herself. She didn't love me, and she still doesn't. And that's just how it is sometimes. That is the cold, hard truth about our existence on this earth, friends. Sometimes people, just because you want them to love you, you're not always going to get that. But what you can get is fulfillment in other relationships where you're aligning with people who are bearing good fruit, helping you to journey along in a much better mind space, right? When you fall down, they lift you up. They don't kick you with like, well, that's what you get. Those are not your friends. Those people are not your friends. So you can only know someone as well as they are willing to open up and let you know them. Trust God, not people. Pray about everyone, friends, and you might be surprised what you hear in return. If you've never done it before, I challenge you now. That person that's been on your mind throughout this show, you know who I'm talking about. Start praying about them. Start asking God about them, and He will lead you. The Holy Spirit will lead you into all truth. He is looking out for you. He knows hearts. He knows minds. Pay attention to fruit. Look for the signs. Look for patterns, and change your whole relationship trajectory. All right, friends, that's all I have for you today. Hope you had a great St. Patrick's Day, which is why I'm wearing my green. I'll catch you next time.